Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Holste podcast, exclusively right here on YouTube. I'm so glad that you decided to click this link and join in the conversation, as today we are going to be talking about overcoming obstacles. There's so many times in our lives that we go through different situations, and some are easier than others to surpass, to overcome. But some obstacles can seem too hard, impossible to feel like we can achieve, right? Well, today that's what we're going to talk about, is overcoming obstacles. Now, I encourage you to join in the conversation, being a part of this community, joining the community that we have created here, right? With you, the normal listeners, and maybe you're listening for the first time, and this is your opportunity to be a part of something amazing. You know, there's so many people in this world that choose to be silent, that are afraid to say what has happened in their life and what they've done personally to overcome these obstacles, these things that have happened in our lives that have been traumatic. Maybe you've heard for the longest time that maybe you're not good enough, that people think that you won't make it to where you need to go. Maybe you've been in a relationship where there was a lot of things being said back and forth that wasn't necessarily right, where no one on either side is in the right, because let's be honest, it takes two to tango and neither parties are ever right. And so this is your opportunity not to point fingers, not to blame the other person. This is about you, what you have done in your life that has been positive, where you turned a negative into a positive. Share those experiences about the obstacles that you have had to overcome. Maybe it's been proving people wrong, that you can do certain things that a lot of people may have thought weren't possible for your life. Maybe it's just simply the fact that your obstacles has been your self-confidence in yourself. The biggest obstacle in our lives today that a lot of people are facing is the obstacle of believing in yourself, believing that you are capable of doing whatever you set your mind to. You know, on my social media pages on Facebook a while back, I asked a very good question for the adults that are listening to this podcast, and that question was, what has been your biggest obstacle in your life that you have worked hard on overcoming, but failed to do as a young adult, but now you have finally successfully defeated it? How has this been a turning point in your life? How has this changed your interactions with others? What have you learned about yourself in the process leading up to today because of this? Let's talk about this, right? I think for me, the biggest obstacle that I've had to figure out in my life is myself. I was the biggest obstacle in my life. I chose to make bad decisions in my life where I knew deep down inside that maybe they weren't the best ideas, but later regretting a lot of it. But it took years and years of failing and not paying attention to what others have suggested to live a better life that caused me to get deeper and deeper into these bigger obstacles. Because let's face it, here's the biggest point that I could tell you out of this podcast today. The longer you wait to live out the expectations that people have laid out for you, the longer it is going to take to overcome the obstacles that you so often in your life wonder, why aren't things changing? Because in your mind, you feel like you've done enough. that you put in enough effort and you put in enough train of thought, a game plan for say. But in reality, you really haven't done much at all. Because this is the issue that we also face in today's world. We have become too lazy. We have only done half of what we are capable. And the thing is we don't want to admit it. Our pride that we have created for ourselves is our biggest problem. We feel like we don't need to put more in because we don't want to admit that we have done something wrong. And we want to push blame on other things, other situations in our life. We want to blame other people for our own choices. Our biggest obstacle in our life is ourselves. And until we realize that, until we put in the full effort, nothing is ever going to change. And we won't get around the things that are causing us to repeat day in and day out. We wake up, we get out of bed, we do our normal routine. We think to ourselves, today is going to be a new day, but at the end of it, we are tired, we are exhausted because we keep doing the same thing. We don't do anything different. We don't try new things. We may put in a little less than what we did the day before, and then we expect to think to ourselves, well, I've done enough. Why hasn't anything changed? We play this victim role. And that's when this victim role starts to be the next obstacle. We start thinking so much that we deserve so much more. We shouldn't have been treated like this. We shouldn't have done that. But the real thing is as much as we are pointing at other things, we're not pointing at ourselves going, I am the problem here. I have chose to think that I can only put in half of my ability. Or I thought what I was putting into my life was just enough to pass by. We are not using our full potential to our advantage. And then there's the people that think, and this is another obstacle in our life, is getting past this sentence right here. But I don't have it in me. I don't have it in me to put more than what I already have. You do. You do have the ability to push more. You know, the biggest obstacle in my life not only has been myself, but it's also the biggest obstacle that I haven't put more faith in what I can do. You know, as much as I put out there sometimes that I'm confident, I'm really not sometimes. For a lot of us, we feel like if we can just put on this front, if I can just get past this day, walking past people or trying to get through a conversation without showing I'm in pain. Today's a good day if I can do that. I don't know why we do that. I don't know why I did it for so long. I guess it all comes from the fact that the biggest obstacle I've had to deal with in my life is people knowing that they can say hurtful things to me. They can say things to me that are the most devastating of things to say. Whether it be about my character, whether it be about my beliefs in my religious life with my journey with my Lord and Savior, or whether it be people who just want to mentally get in my mind and try to convince me that who I am as a person is not really who I am, that I'm someone completely different, that I'm just putting out words that are nothing more than empty words, that I really don't care about people as much as I say. I guess you don't know me that well then. I guess you don't know the fact that the way that I was raised, I didn't realize just how important those values and morals and all that were until I walked into a life where that type of atmosphere did not exist, where there was so much drama from one side of things to the other, that some people liked and respected and loved, and some on the other side just gave up, didn't care, assumed, wanted to push blame, wanted to accuse, wanted to do anything they could to do nothing with these other people. My biggest obstacle was trying to understand how people can treat other people like that. My biggest obstacle was trying to understand how can you hate when these are people that are more more than just normal day-to-day people. I just didn't get it. And here's the thing, folks. If I would have taken the time to just realize that some of these things were just not healthy, that these things were going to create more problems later on, and I could have avoided it, stayed away from it, maybe things would have been different. Maybe I wouldn't be living the life that I do every single day, having the issues that I have day to day, because then the obstacle now is because of the things I went through, because of my choices to avoid things, and I chose to stay. I now have to suffer the consequences of the health things that I go through. And they could have been prevented. But the obstacle was I didn't believe. I didn't have faith that the red flags that were right in front of me I should have paid attention to. And I've always had problems with red flags go flying everywhere. I try to see the good. And maybe that's an obstacle in itself that I've had. Maybe. I don't know. But now that these obstacles are out of the way, I've been able to live a life where things are different, more clear. Once was a big hurdle for me to get over and would seem impossible to get past, to get by. Now I ask, why did it take so long for me to realize these things, these values, these morals that my parents tried to engrave into my mind about how to treat other people, how to react to other people, how to use the golden rule to treat others as I would want to be treated. I didn't always live that way, but my biggest obstacle was trying to utilize that. And now I realize that it's not an obstacle at all. It's just something I live by. It's something I just do because it's now a way of life. As you live your life, if you do things the right way, you might be surprised. What once was an obstacle for your life now just seems like something like a crack in a sidewalk. Sometimes those cracks may be bigger than others and you trip, but you can get right back up and continue to go. Some cracks you don't notice at all. Just walk on by with no problem. That's the amazing thing about life. It doesn't matter how many times you fail, but it matters how many times you get back up. Wipe the dust off of your knees. Wipe your arms from the little rocks or fragments of dirt that are left over from getting up. You look at the damage that was done, and yeah, there may be a little scrape or a few bruises, but what is the biggest thing you just accomplished? You overcame the hurdle of not giving up, not just going, oh, I fell, I'm hurt, I'm done. You got back up and you continued to move forward and do what you could to finish out your day. And if we had that same mindset, the same mentality as that within our day-to-day lives, who knows what we could accomplish, right? The biggest obstacle in my life I had to overcome out of anything at all is people bullying me, people criticizing me, and to not let it sit there and eat at me and go somewhere and just seclude myself and start thinking, oh, maybe they're right. Maybe I need to give up. Maybe I need to just sit here and cry and do nothing to change it. No. Now I hear these things. I use that as my motivation. I use that as my drive to overcome the hurdle when it happens again, when someone say that I'm not good enough. When someone comes up to me and says, you're going to fail with confidence, I can look at them and say, no, you're wrong. I am going to succeed. I am not going to fail. And yes, this may take years, and God knows, maybe it will take the rest of my life. Or maybe I'm going to work every single day till the day I die, and it may not come true. Guess what? I'm not going to let what you say to me to bring me down be that hurdle that prevents me from crossing over, from jumping that hurdle and moving on. Because you know what? In life, I'm going to always have people like you trying to bring me down, trying to tear me apart and get into my head and try to convince me of things that I know are not true. But guess what? Nope, not today. You're not going to be that hurdle. Bye. See ya. That's it. You, right then and there, have overcome that hurdle. And you may not say this in reality to people, but in your mind, as long as you think it, you can do it. For some, the hurdles in their life is being able to work on a goal, perhaps with their health, to lose weight, because it's important to them to know that they want to live the rest of their lives being able to enjoy life, to experience special events like their kids getting married, or they just want to just be able to be happy, to look at themselves in the mirror every single day and see a new, transformed, amazing image of hard work, blood, sweat, and tears. And there's going to be times in your mind where you're going to have that hurdle that is so often so hard to get by, of your mind saying, yeah, but that cake looks pretty good. It's not going to hurt just to have one little bite. But that one little bite turns into half the cake. And as you look at the cake, you're still hungry and you go, well, I made it this far and chances are it's going to sit in the fridge and I'll forget about it. And then by the time I want to eat it, it's old and isn't edible anymore, and I guess I could eat the rest of this. And that urge that you had just for one small bite when you know you shouldn't have. And the biggest thing too is you shouldn't have bought it in the first place when you're trying to work on this goal of losing weight to be more healthy so you can accomplish all these goals and dreams that you have. And you drop the ball, and then you realize, oh, well, I did it. It's gone. I ate it all, and I might as well just stop now because I ruined everything that I put in. I'm a horrible person. I'm not good enough. I couldn't even accomplish this thing, and now I'm a failure. It's just one thing. It's just one day. It's not the end. Just because you didn't live up to the expectations that you set for yourself, right? You're going to have good days and you're going to have bad days. You're going to have days where you do what you should and eat healthy and drink the right drinks and stay away from sugars and all that stuff. But the next thing you know, you screw up and it happens and you feel so guilty that guilt then becomes a hurdle for you because you feel so bad that you can't find yourself to be able to get yourself back up and continue to push forward. Right? This is what I'm going to tell you today. Don't let yourself get there. Don't let yourself ever think that you are not capable of doing anything, because you are capable. The biggest thing that we forget is we are all human. We all make mistakes. There's not one person in this world that is perfect. And as much as I've heard from plenty of people that some seem to think that they are the only ones in this world that are perfect, that don't make mistakes, boy, are they dropping the ball there, right? And good for them for thinking positive, but they're really not. They're creating something for them that is the biggest hurdle, and that's denial. Don't be in denial about your life, what you could and what you can do better, because you have it in you. You have it in you to accomplish these goals and to overcome the obstacles of what you think is not possible of doing. I've seen it firsthand of people that I knew one moment and the next they make these goals for their health, and the next thing you know, a year or two down the line, they look completely different and they're happy because they've made their goal possible. They overcome the obstacle of something they thought was never possible, but they did it. But then the biggest obstacle, once they do these things, becomes another obstacle, and that is keeping to what they just done and not losing all the things that they worked hard for to get there. Yes, they've overcome the obstacle. They've lost all this weight, and they've now made this amazing transformation for their life. Now the biggest obstacle is trying to keep it that way. Another obstacle that we see in our world today, and I think this is the biggest, is how we look and view others. The obstacle of feeding into others' drama that they are creating. You know, when I was a kid, I was a punk. I was one of those kids that wanted attention and I wanted to be popular, but at the same point, I was being a bully myself. I would pick on other people just as much as other people were picking on me, and maybe that's why I did it. But what's the obstacle in that? It was the obstacle that, yes, people were picking on me, but I didn't have to go that next step and create that obstacle of trying not to do that to another person. The obstacle is trying to be the best person I can be, but in this world, it's so hard with peer pressure. It's so hard not to feed into workplace drama, school drama. When we see kids pointing and laughing and doing whatever and hurting someone else's feelings, we tend to feed into it. When we are adults and we hear a joke going on, and then the obstacle is trying to find a way out, but by the time it gets done, it's too late. Things have been said. Feelings have been hurt. Why do we get there? Why do we let ourselves get there? The obstacles that we think are too hard are because we create these obstacles. We create these things that could be prevented, but some obstacles are not of our choosing, right? For me, it was taking tests. I hated school because of tests. I could never seem to study hard enough to actually get through a test without failing. And it was disappointing for me because as much as I put in the hard work, as much as I did everything that I could to try to get a good grade, it would never work out. It never happened. And it got to the point where that obstacle became so hard that I just gave up. I gave up. And looking back now, that was my biggest downfall, was because I didn't put in the effort to try to change, to try to defeat. I wasn't willing to ask for help because I let those failings of seeing these papers come back with big circle with a big F in the middle get the best of me. And in a world where you live with parents that are teachers, I think it got to me because I felt so much pressure to be perfect. Because I don't know about you, but when you have an older sibling who is, in your eyes, the most perfect person in the world, and you're trying to be just like this sibling, whether it be playing sports, having good grades in school, and being able to go to college and graduate, having one marriage, and having a beautiful family, an amazing spouse. And I look at my life and I see all the things that I have failed at. And I think to myself, why couldn't I be like him? Why couldn't I be like my brother? The biggest obstacle is I was trying to be someone when that wasn't the path that I shouldn't have been on, because I'm not him. And he's definitely not me. We all have different paths. We have a roadmap that is and has been designed for us before we were even alive. We had a game plan. The biggest obstacle that we go through, though, is trying to figure out what that is and how we can get there. The biggest frustration that we have in our world today is that we don't have the answers. The biggest obstacle is trying to find out how we can get those answers. And the thing is, just because we don't have the answers doesn't mean that that obstacle can't be discovered. Just have to put in the hard work. We have to see the value in ourselves. We have to look at that mirror that we were talking about earlier and see that no matter how we view ourselves, we are good enough, we are beautiful, and that we are the best at what we do. Now, we don't know what we are the best at. It will come to you. Maybe it's been right there the whole time and you just haven't realized it. Or perhaps you just haven't found a way to have that obstacle of using it the right way. You see, my gift that I can give to the world is giving my kindness. It's trying to help others. It's trying to understand people and build them up. Because the biggest thing that pains me is people who don't believe in themselves. The people that I hear say what their obstacles are in their life. And their obstacles in their life lay so heavy on them that they just don't know how to overcome it. There are people in this world that overcome obstacles that are so difficult. And I look at my life problems and I go, I thought I had it rough. But at the same point, I feel for them because I wish that I could help them. I wish I could help see how they're feeling. And I wish that they could see what I see from them. Because I feel like the obstacles that we have in our life cause people so much stress, so much pain, so much confusion, that's part of the reason why we see so many people giving up and unfortunately taking the easy way out and ending their life. Because no one's been there to stand by them and to tell them that the obstacles that they are experiencing in their life are ones that they can get past. They just need to believe. They just need to know that no matter how down they may feel about themselves, no matter what other people have said and done things to them to destroy their heart and their mind, that they are able to overcome those obstacles and be the person that I see. And then I get asked the question, well, how can you see who I am when I'm a mess? How can you see what I am when I am so down, when I have nothing? That I'm at the bottom. How can you see these things? The answer is simple. I see the true perfection that was created, that was meant to cross paths with me at this very moment in my life. Because I'm a firm believer that things don't just happen for no reason. People don't cross paths just because. Things are destined to happen because, as I said earlier, there is a roadmap. There is a plan far bigger than what you or I could ever know, more than we could ever fathom. And guess what? You are good enough. You are good enough to be my friend. You are good enough to be my family. You are good enough to be one that I can rely on and be my best friend. I don't have to know you. I don't care about what happened to you in your past. In a way I do, but in the way that I mean it, I don't care. It's not going to change my judgment on how and why I feel like I should be your friend. That I should be a part of your life and you should be a part of mine. It doesn't matter. What matters is that I'm here. What matters is that I am able to overcome an obstacle of not judging and see the good in you. No matter what you've done, no matter what other people have done to you, there's a reason why we've met. Just like there is a reason why you chose to click on this link and listen to this podcast and to hopefully take something from this and realize today I'm going to start overcoming obstacles in my life. Today I'm going to stop letting these people tell me that I'm not good enough. Today, I'm going to go into work and I am going to overcome the obstacle of doing this project that I think is impossible to get by, but I'm going to make it happen. And I'm going to make it the best dang project that I have ever done. And I'm going to have it so good that people are going to be talking about it for years and years and years. And when they hear about it, they're going to be like, oh, I know that person. They didn't let this project get in the way. They did it, and they did it so good that we're right here talking about it right now. How awesome is that? Just like I can ask you right now, how awesome are you? That you have overcome your obstacles, that you are making a commitment to overcoming your obstacles, and you years down the line are going to look back at these same obstacles and realize that you did more than what some could even try to think doing. And that is overcoming these obstacles, being the best at what you can do, believing that no matter what happens, you were thinking and being positive, that you were thinking to yourself, I'm going to do what I can today, not what I can't. Because you know what? I believe in you. Don't you think you should too? And if you see someone who served our country, whether it be police, military, fire, or even the hardworking people in our medical facilities, take the time, the 2 seconds, the 5 seconds, the 10 seconds, the 30 seconds, whatever it takes to get your point across about how much appreciation you have for them. You never know how much they might appreciate that one random act of kindness. So do it today. And make sure, if you like this video, this podcast today, make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe. But I please ask you this. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all. I don't want to delete. I don't want to block. I don't want to do any of that just because someone wants to be negative. That's not what this is for. If you feel like something in your life that you accomplished is so amazing, so great, and it worked so well with your life, share it. Help inspire someone who needs to see it today. There's so many people out there that feel alone. And trust me, they're not. It just takes one person to say one thing that resonates, that clicks, that gets them that big light bulb above their head, and it gets them to start a new life. This is a community. So join the community today. And until the next time we talk, thank you for listening to the Kent Holste podcast right here exclusively on YouTube, and God bless.